several years ago, I migrated.
Shouldn't last more than an hour. Provide free function.
Morning, gentlemen.
Blend them all together. Well,
Yeah, he left Tuesday, right?
now,
Yesterday morning, NCAA
not exactly the same as the phone.
number one in the country.
I mean, I figured it out, but it's not exactly the same.
Did Johnny go with
But
him?
it's better than having two different products.
I was never a huge wrestler. My son was a big wrestler.
Champion in 105.
Education. People who are teachers or in school systems and stuff have.
Yeah, I think Apple did a smart thing. They got into education.
Freshman year, I was 105.
They made a lot of money in school systems.
My son
I came in second sophomore year. And didn't even place my senior year. So I don't think I really gave a crap at that time.
you get burned out. So
My clock's like off. We got a whole hour.
I'll just look over.
Hang out.
I'll just look over.
Go by that clock.
Oh, no, we're not doing that. Where's the way to put my fingerprints on?
Get some new glasses, man?
I broke the other one.
Uh-oh.
They're just readers.
Since the clock says 8 o'clock, we gotta wait till 9 o'clock.
Okay, I'll make a donut. We got another.
I think the county should buy his breakfast. Have it catered in, we got a whole hour.
We ordered the new one that's coming in soon, so why bother? Then if he has work comp, then we're screwed.
We had to get a new clock.
We have a new one with a control thing, so we can do it from down here. Both me and Kat are short.
Even though you don't have a separate, that's pretty cool.
It is pretty cool, yes. A whole digital one. Woo!
I think we're ready.
Yeah, my kids don't really do the clock thing too well. It's not instinctive for them like me. You know, they're so digital.
Good morning. This is the Citrus County Planning and Development Commission hearing for March the 20th, 2025. If you'd like to join us at this time, I invite you to please stand for the invocation and please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Dear Lord, please give us the grace to be understanding, patient, and tolerant. With these attributes, we can conduct our business in a manner which will be pleasing to Thee, our county, and its residents. In the Lord's name, amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. For the courtesy of all applicants, the board and those around you, at this time, if you can place all your cellular devices on mute. And may we get the roll call, please?
The following Planning and Development Commission members are present. Chair Richard Barmez, David Bramblett, First Vice Chair, Robert Shera, Second Vice Chair, Stuart Bozeman, Jeanette Collins, Michael Facemeyer, Kurt Stone, and School Board Representative Chuck Dixon.
Thank you. If any person decides to appeal any decisions made by the commission with respect to any matter considered at this hearing, he or she will need a record of the proceedings for such purpose. He or she may need to ensure that the verbatim record of the proceedings is made, which records includes the testimony and the evidence upon which the appeal is to be based. During the public input portions of the meeting, individuals are given 3 minutes and representatives of organizations are given 5 minutes. When anyone wishing to speak comes to the podium, please complete the yellow form to hand to the recording secretary. Please print your name, address, and the number of the application for which you are speaking on the form. The yellow forms can be found at the front door on the podium there. So if you're representing an organization, a letter of authorization must accompany the speaker. The comments will be limited to the topics being heard, so please state your name, spell your last name, and give us the address for the tape record. Now at this time, I'm going to open the podium up for to the public, and this is an opportunity for you to come forward to address this commission on any issues that you may wish. But just a reminder, it's not about any of the applications that we're going to be hearing today. Anyone? All right, seeing none, I'm going to close the public portion of the meeting down. We do have a minutes to approve for May the 4th, 2023, and for January the 2nd, 2025. With no objections, I'll combine the minutes as one approval.
So moved.
Second.
All right. Do we have any discussions on the minutes? All in favor of approval, say aye. Aye. Thank you. Do we have any staff announcements?
No staff announcements. I will go ahead and go on to ex parte communication. In the absence of the county attorney, I'll ask if any board members has any ex parte communication on the applications before you. I'll start with Mr. Stone, please.
None.
Site visits?
Site visits.
Site visits.
None.
None.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, now it's time for application PUD 3063 for US 19 and 98 acquisitions. If we get the presentation, please.
Having some technical difficulties, Commissioner.
Technical difficulties.
Yes.
Thank goodness
Can't even
we have
say
her
it, it's
expert,
difficult.
so she saves us every time, doesn't she?
Yes, she's very good. Thank you, Jamie.
She's the same one saving us in the courthouse as well with the commission meetings, so
Oh,
she's valuable.
Looks like it's not.
Well, I'll go ahead skip to the end for a second. You only have one meeting on your next agenda. It's a conditional use, but that's a break for you because the second meeting in April, you have 4 applications, 2 of which are the Tuscany applications that are coming back to you.
thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Sorry about that. This is PUD 3063, Stantec for US 19.
Can you pull a mic to you so we can hear you?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Stantec for US 19 and 98 Acquisitions LLC. This request is to establish a PUD on 8.57 acres to allow for up to 4 lots with internal access for commercial development and to allow for RV and boat storage in the GNC district. This is an aerial view of the subject property. This is a view facing south along South Suncoast Boulevard with the subject property on the right side of the roadway. This is a view facing north along South Suncoast Boulevard with the subject property on the left side of the roadway. This is a view facing west along West Miss Maggie Drive with the subject property on the left side of the roadway. This is a view facing east along West Miss Maggie Drive with the subject property on the right side of the roadway. This is a view of the middle portion of the subject property along South Suncoast Boulevard. This is the master plan that was submitted by the applicant. Thank you.
Thank you. If the applicant come forward, please.
Good morning. This is Lori Viola from Stantec.
Do you guys have any questions in regards to the request for PUD?
You can go ahead and make your presentation to us, and
Oh,
then we
okay.
can ask questions at the
Okay.
end.
You take your profile.
So we have prepared a PowerPoint just to back up what they've just showed you. This, again, is the aerial showing the site in location of the vicinity of the surrounding areas. I think everybody's probably familiar with this site. And next slide, please. That's me, Lori Viola from Stantec. Thank you. Next slide, please. So we are requesting to establish a PUD for the commercial development, and this commercial development will have internal access, and we are requesting the GNC uses and also including RV and boat storage in the GNC land use district as specified in Citrus County Land Development Code. It is an 8.57 acre parcel, and it is proposing 4 lots, of each which will take their access from the internal access drive connecting from Miss Maggie Drive on the north side. Next slide, please. You can see that drive on the north side of that site plan right there at the top coming down. And each of those parcels will also provide their own storm water retention areas on their individual lots. And they will also comply with the following landscape buffers per Citrus Code. The north landscape would be 10 foot, which is a type A along Miss Maggie Road. The south would be a 15-foot type C buffer, which would be adjacent to this residential on the south side. East would be the 10-foot type A along the US Sun Coast, and the west would be a 15-foot type C adjacent to the residential on the west side. Internally, there would be a 5-foot landscape buffer between the internal lots. Next slide, please. This gives you an idea of what the master plan for the parcel, the first parcel that we would like to move forward with if the PUD is accepted. It's Lot 1. It is 1.3 acres, and it's a retail development proposed for O'Reilly's Auto Parts. It's 7,453 square foot auto parts building with the compliant parking that is required, as well as the stormwater and all of the setbacks and landscape buffers. The development does meet its ISR, which is the impervious surface ratio area, and FAR. Development does meet its required setbacks and landscape buffers, and it has already an ERP, which is an environmental resource permit, stormwater permit from Southwest Florida Water Management for the proposed on-site retention area, as you see that pond there. It also meets the required parking spaces of 32, and we have actually provided 34. Next slide, please. The establishment of a PUD with its proposed deviations is consistent with the county's land development code. These are the staff's findings and recommendations, and we just wanted to highlight what the staff wrote in their staff report. They suggested the following conditions: that the planned unit development shall allow up to 4 lots with internal access and allow the rights used for in GNC district as outlined on the master plan. Construction shall take place in accordance with the criteria and requirement of Citrus County Land Development Code. And the site must connect to Citrus County's central water and sewer systems and meet the requirements of the Land Development Code with the maximum ISRs and FARs, which we've just showed in the site plan we are meeting. And also signage must meet the Citrus County Land Development Code as well. Next slide, please. One of the requirements from the commission states that at the time of permitting, the applicant must demonstrate compliance with applicable development standards for Land Development Code Section 3740, which is additional design standards for large non-residential projects. And those typically have to do with buffers, landscaping, building facade, lighting, and pedestrian circulations. And our first site plan that we have presented does meet these standards. Landscaping shall follow the Florida-friendly landscaping principles. Parking does meet the LDC requirements as well. And a tree preservation plan as outlined in the Land Development Code will be submitted and approved for during the time of permitting, where preservation of existing trees to meet landscape buffers can be made at that time. Next slide, please. So that wraps up the presentation from our viewpoint, and if there's any questions, we'll try to answer them as best as possible.
Does staff have any questions for the applicant?
Yes, sir. Good morning, Ms. Viola.
Good morning.
Just for clarification, so the uses that are proposed with this, really the only use that you know of is the retail establishment on Lot 1. There are no uses proposed for the other lots, correct?
That is correct. There's been no further proposed development, so we're just trying to get through the PUD and then do our first parcel.
Okay. And there was indication in the staff report that there is a wetland located on the south side of this property.
And
Can
if you go back to the slide with the site plan on it, I'm not sure how clear it shows up, but I can show you it has been delineated. It's in the right-hand corner, down below the red area. So yes.
Yeah, and so do you have any documentation that that has been or is in the process of being mitigated, or how is that to be addressed?
The wetland has been delineated and has been, the mitigation area has been proposed. That is not actually required for the parcel lot number 1 that we are developing first. So that will take place as those parcels become developed and work towards that.
All right. And you're familiar with the conditions? You don't have any conflicts with the conditions?
We don't have any conflicts with the conditions.
No, and that original easement, Joe, was vacated.
Please come to the podium.
Do you want to?
Jimmy, you want to go ahead? You want to introduce yourself?
My name is Jimmy Bingham, and I'm the managing member of US 19 and 98 Acquisitions. Joe, when we bought that property about 15 years ago, we had an easement put in place that went along the entire eastern boundary of the property and connected with that existing platted subdivision. The county's request and your suggestion, that was vacated, and the new easement does not encroach into those wetlands other than that small little 0.6 acre area that's designated on the plat.
Okay. And for a follow-up question then, is that access point going to be developed when those parcels developed, and it's not going to be developed with this first project?
It's not going to be developed for the O'Reillys. It's for future development, depending on the use of the adjoining 3 lots.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Does the board have any questions for the applicants?
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Shara.
Good morning. A couple questions. I'm looking at the site plan you presented. It's actually up on the board. First of all, can you tell me or describe which of these areas are GNC within this site plan? Does this site plan extend beyond the GNC?
All of the parcels within the PUD are GNC.
So all 4 parcels are GNC. Okay, thank you. Second one is, Joe just addressed the issue of the access point, and you're saying the access point on Route 19 south of the 98 interchange. So you're saying that will come at a later time?
That is a future proposed access point if it is needed, depending on what develops, how the interior lots develop. Yes, that is future,
Okay.
not
So one thing that confuses me is because you only identify in detail what is proposed for Lot 1 as O'Reilly's, and the others remain undefined at this point in time, yet you're asking for a deviation on buffer. So why would you ask for a deviation when you haven't yet defined a use?
I don't think we're asking for deviation on buffers.
Did I misunderstand that? Perhaps I have, so I'll stand by on that question until staff presents. My understanding was you're asking for a deviation on buffer for Lot 3. But
No, we've met all the buffers.
Okay, I'll hold on that question until
Okay.
after staff. Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Collins.
Thank you. One of your requests that's on the master plan is that you want to have the option of being able to do an RV and boat storage. It It seems like that's just something that you're putting on
Well,
there
it's
to allow-
currently an allowed use in a PUD in the GNC district. And so we've only asked for that to be allowed. The other allowed uses within the PUD are other uses which we've not asked to be allowed. I believe those are storage and some other, I don't remember them offhand. Maybe Frankie can help me out with that, but so with all of the uses that would be allowed if it was turned into a PUD, we've only requested for that one use. Those other uses we would not be allowed.
Okay. To that extent, can you describe a little bit of how you would propose the RV and boat parking? Is it gonna be
I'm
covered?
gonna
Is
let
it-
Jimmy answer that.
Thank you.
We've been trying to market that property for 15 years since we acquired it. We originally bought it at the request of Winn-Dixie. I was a Winn-Dixie shopping center developer at that time. And then they had a bankruptcy and could not move forward. So we also acquired the property directly across the street. We brought Dollar General to the site. We brought McDonald's to the site. The reason I'm bringing it up is directly west of McDonald's, we had about a 4-acre parcel that was approved for a RV and boat storage, and actually permitted. We didn't develop it, we just sold it. So we're just, as an owner, we want as much flexibility as possible for a future buyer's use. We do not have any immediate plans of putting an RV there, maybe not. It does make sense in that, given the elevation, Joe, of the property and the compensatory storage required, it would not be as practical. Aldi wanted to come to the site, and we had a contract with Aldi for about 6 months to a year, and they decided not to go ahead and build it. But we're just trying to keep as much flexibility as possible for a future proposed user. That's all. Does that answer your question adequately?
Yes, sir, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Collins. Any other questions? Commissioner Guzman.
So to be clear, the 4 lots, only the 1 lot has the intended definite use right now, the auto parts store. So with that being said, 2, 3, and 4, would those potentially be looked at as storage for all 3? Or do you have other intended uses, or is that all gonna be market driven?
We've had several retailers approach us on the adjacent lot to the one that O'Reilly's is developing.
That would be lot 4?
The lot 4, yeah, lot
Okay.
4.
Okay.
No, the one that, lot 2. We have several retail interest in that.
So if lot 2 would be the potential next target for development,
It
is
probably
that fair?
would be, and at that time, we would tie into the FDOT drive to 19 when that one was developed.
And your intentions, because on this map that I'm looking at, those would encroach on the wetlands, so you would have mitigation?
There's a mitigation there, and we've had it approved by the Southwest Florida Water Management. I think the mitigation fee was $85,000 to move forward. We tried to move it further to the north, but FDOT would not budge off the 650-foot distance from the signalized intersection. So
Correct.
we're just trying to work within the different regulatory agencies and their request and see what we can put together.
So you're just looking at having flexibility in the event a storage cut business wants to move into one of these areas? Is that what you're kind of
correct.
thinking?
And because of the, as I mentioned, the compensatory storage, the development of Lot 3, really the south third of that is not practical to develop. There's not enough compensatory storage to make it work.
So when you get started with the O'Reillys, if all of this is approved, can we expect to see RVs and boats parked on these other lots? Just
Yeah, I don't think you'll see them at all. There's no way in the world we'd use Lot 2 for that. It has a much higher value as retail. RV storage is just kind of a secondary value and or usage. And Chassahowiska, there's a lot of demand for boat storage and RV storage in that particular area. Sugar Mill Woods has some, but there's limited. The Shell Station has a lot of, about 2 or 3 acres in the back, and they're filled up. We're getting inquiries all the time. So
if I drive by there in a year from now, I'm not gonna see boats and RVs and everything scattered about there? Is that
not
fair to
by
say?
me, not by me. I'm not gonna be developing it.
But you're not gonna market it as that in
Yes,
the meantime?
and I know from the one that we had permitted across the street, permit requirement has never been developed, but the permit requirement was a 6-foot high concrete block wall across anything bordering a residential area. Is that correct, Joe? I'm pretty sure that was a restriction. And, but we just wanted the flexibility of it to use the land as is, and while we're trying to find more retailers. You know, hopefully we'd end up with an Aldi's back to the site or some other grocery store.
Okay.
Thank you, Commissioner Gooseman. Any other questions by the board? Commissioner Shara.
One quick follow-up. You have a blank piece of paper here in terms of what this site looks like, these acres. What drove you to making Lot 2 a very specific and smaller footprint as compared to Lot 3? If you have no uses intended other than potential RV, what's driving the particular configuration here?
Please accept my apology, but my hearing is not good. Would you mind repeating that?
Sure. You know, for lots, since you have no intended use yet identified other than potential RV, you have requested 4 lots. In Lot 2, for instance, it's a smaller footprint, and Lot 3 is much larger. So do you have any specific plans for Lot 2?
Yes, Lot 2 at this moment is just a flexible alternative. It probably, if we went with a grocery store or some larger retail box, it would become 2 and 3 would be consolidated. In other words, a development would be developed on the 2 lots together. But to answer your question, we have no immediate user for Lot 2, or excuse me, for Lot 4 or Lot 3. We have had several retail inquiries that would like to be adjacent to the O'Reilly site. But at this point, we're not in a contract with anybody. You know, when you're a long-term holder of property, you try to keep as much flexibility as possible and then develop it in a responsible manner, which I think we've done. We brought McDonald's to that corner, we brought Wendy's to that corner, we've got Dollar General there, and now we're trying to get O'Reilly's. Trying to develop it in a responsible manner.
Thank you. Any other questions from the board? Okay, thank you. We get the staff to come forward and make their presentation, please.
Good morning, Commission. Frankie Pylan, planner.
Good morning, Frankie.
So when we look at the property, this is for PUD 3063 for Stantec for US 19 and 98 Acquisition LLC. Do we have the button, or you got to push the slides? The property essentially exists along South Suncoast Boulevard with West Miss Maggie Drive along the north. The property has frontage both on Miss Maggie Drive and South Suncoast Boulevard. There's approximately 377 feet of frontage along West Miss Maggie Drive, as well as about 590 feet of frontage around South Suncoast Boulevard. We look at the property to answer a former question. The entire site is GNC. There's no other zoning that would be impacted by this development. When we look at the property again from South Suncoast Boulevard, we'll see that probably roughly a third of the property has been leveled and cleared out. You have a large wooded area towards the south of the property, but the property as a whole is vacant. When we look for Miss Maggie Drive, you'll see again that the property exists on the left-hand side or the south side of Miss Maggie Drive. It's a vacant property, heavily wooded in some areas, cleared out behind the Wendy's restaurant and to just the south of the Wendy's restaurant. The master plan itself, the intention here is to have 4 lots. The only plan, like they've addressed, is Lot 1. Lot 1, they plan to have an O'Reilly's, and have provided us a master plan that details what they're intending to do. We have no other information for Lot 2, Lot 3, or Lot 4 at this time, other than they are requesting the ability to have RV and boat storage, which is not allowed by right, but does require a PUD approval to have RV and boat storage. That's it. Any questions?
Does the applicant have any questions for their staff? Thank you. See, the
Frankie, there
board-
was a question about the buffers too. They're not asking for a deviation, correct?
Correct. Let me grab that page. On page, I believe, 89 of the staff report, you'll see on Lot 3, there was a description that says, if developed as a large non-residential development project, buffers are as followed. It's not that they're asking for a deviation, it's that that site has enough acreage, enough space to potentially be a large non-residential development or a small non-residential development. So depending on what they choose to put there, they could have different buffer requirements.
Thank you.
And just to elaborate too, the RV and boat parking, that's not being supported, that's not in the conditions proposed by staff. The Board of County Commissioners have made it really clear that those are special uses that require additional criteria. We don't have that today, so that particular item is not in your conditions of approval.
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Shara.
And just for follow-up, the RV and boat storage is not by right in a GNC, correct?
Correct. It requires extra, and it just adding a PUD with no specifics doesn't really meet that criteria. We'd want something very specific as to where they are and make sure it's appropriate for the area. In this case, they want it in case sometime in the future they do it, but that's not supported by staff.
And if at a later date they come back and, because they say they have no specific plans at this point related to lot size for lots 2 through 4, what is required if they have the PUD approved? What is required of the developer at that time to come back and change lot dimension size, even if the use is allowed under the GNC?
Oh, you're welcome.
No, it's fine. Yeah, it would have to come before you very similar to what you're seeing with the O'Reillys. They would have to give you a detailed master plan. Here's where we're planning to put the RVs or the boats. They're going to be coming in here. It's going to be taking up this much area, et cetera. So you would have all the specifics to do that. They would need to come back before you and the Board of County Commissioners in the future if it's not approved in this application.
So they just can't, by right, anything that is a GNC, they still have to come back and go through that process?
Unless what they're asking for is to allow it, period, by right. They're asking for an additional criteria to allow it, but not give you any specifics, and that's what we're not supporting.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair?
Commissioner Collins.
Thank you. Hi. Two questions. The first one being the subdivision as proposed for platting, does it meet all of the criteria of the Land Development Code without the need for the PUD?
It appears to. We have kind of limited information here. Only Lot 1 really gives us an idea of what they're trying to do. So they have indicated that they will meet all the other standards of the LDC when it comes to buffers, parking lot design, and all those things. So we have no reason to believe that there's anything they're asking for deviation on, except for the RV and boat storage, which again is not allowed by right. It requires a PUD approval.
Okay, and then second, in your staff report, you alluded to concerns of the RV and boat storage because the property is in the coastal high hazard area. That is thank you.
Finally kicked on.
I'm sorry. That is the coastal high hazard area that's statutorily defined in 163, which are the areas that would fall below the elevation of a Cat 1 storm surge line. That's the coastal high hazard area that you're speaking of?
Correct, to the best of my
Okay.
understanding of it. There are scattered areas throughout this entire parcel that are showing as coastal high hazard. Some spots aren't. It's kind of polka dotted throughout the property, so to speak. But yes, the property as a whole does exist within the coastal high hazard area. So there are special concerns that we have for things that come with hurricane and flood surge.
Thank you.
And just to elaborate, Ms. Collins, on your question about the plat, excuse me, one of the reasons they had to come in for this PUD is to create parcels that only take access from internal access. So the plat, as it's proposed, doesn't have the appropriate access points to county or public roadways. And so this PUD would give them the permission to create parcels that are only going to take access from internal.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question for you, Joe, or Frankie, whoever can answer this. I'm kind of concerned with the lack of documentation of the mitigation of the wetlands. Now, that should be a requirement, right? Before, what's that process?
I'll try my best to answer that. Joe might be able to elaborate a little bit more, but essentially, at the time of permitting, when they decide to build out this internal access drive and develop these properties, we're gonna have to see proof that the wetlands have been mitigated, and that's gonna be part of that development permit. As of right now, I don't believe that it's required in order to submit a PUD for the intention to develop, but it can be impacted if they can't get that approval, as they've indicated they might be able to get.
Thank you.
We currently do hold a
Ma'am, we'll ask you questions in a minute, but thank you. Any other, Commissioner Guzman?
So to be clear, the Lot 1 development does not require any mitigation at this point for wetlands?
No, sir.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, Joanna, would you go over why don't we want a condition of approval on this to specifically prohibit boat and RV storage?
I can't tell you why, but I can tell you that, so in, not just in the CHHA, which was mentioned, but in the general commercial district period, the RV and boat parking facilities have extra criteria from the Board of County Commissioners to allow that use. They did not want that as a permitted automatic use in all GNC sites. Right here before you, we don't have any documentation, any details about the RV boat parking. So they're asking for it to be allowed by right, and lacking the specific details, staff has concerns about giving that blanket approval.
So why wouldn't we be specific, if we do approve this PUD, to prohibit the boat and RV?
It actually would. If you approve it without that condition as proposed by staff, it would not allow that use. They would have to come back before you and the commissioners to get that use added. It's not allowed by right.
All right, but I still don't
Am I
understand.
missing
They've asked
you?
for this PUD to include that.
Right.
And why don't we have to specifically say as a condition of our approval that that's not approved?
Well, if you look at condition 1 in the staff report, it says that it's only allowed, or it's only approving those uses allowed by right in GNC. It does not include the boat and RV storage.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Not following.
Thank you, Commissioner Stone. Any other questions for staff? Thank you, Frankie.
Thank you.
At this time, the public portion of the meeting will now be open. If there's anyone present who would like to speak on this application, please come forward to the podium. As a reminder, individuals have 3 minutes and organizations have 5 minutes. When speaking on this application, please address this board. If you have any documentation that you would want to be entered into the record, please provide a copy to the recording secretary. Anyone?
Mr. Chair,
Madam Attorney.
I don't know if I guess I'm on. Did you give the applicant an opportunity to ask questions of staff? I'm sorry if you did. I missed that.
I did,
I apologize.
yes, and they had no questions
Thank you.
at that time. Thank you. So the podium's open for the public.
I don't think we did. They're like, wait. He's putting his finger up. I don't recall him being asked either. I think they had some questions of staff. It's up to you.
I'm positive that I did, and I'm positive that she answered that they had no questions.
Thank you.
And I was just confirmed by my first vice chair.
Thank you.
He's keeping me in line.
No, sir.
So back to the public portion of the meeting. The public portion of the meeting is now open. Last call. Yeah. All right, at this time, I'm going to bring the discussion back to the board for further discussions.
There's no rebuttal because there was no public input. Sorry.
Correct. So the public portion of the meeting is now closed? Is that what you're telling me? Oh,
I mean, I didn't hear any, no one came up from the
right.
public.
So I have
Rebuttal.
no rebuttal.
Rebuttal for the applicant only occurs to rebut that input from the public. So since there was no public, there's no rebuttal.
Correct. Thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Bramlett.
I think there's just been a little bit of confusion with, in regard to this particular application and the blank lots and the discussion regarding the boat and RV parking. So the long and short of it is the boat and RV parking aren't allowed based on this application if we approve it as the way it is, just the way Ms. Katu and Mr. Hockedale said. The only uses that would be approved on those lots without coming back in front of us are GNC uses. This property is zoned GNC, so by right, personal property rights would allow this gentleman to develop that parcel as he sees fit, as long as it fits the land development code, whether that be the 1 lot, 2 lots, 3 lots, or 4 lots. So with that being said, I know that I trust the staff, and I trust the county technical services, Swift Mud, and all of the people that would be involved, the wetlands mitigation, so I would be in favor of this application on its face.
Thank you, Commissioner Bramlett. Any other comments from the board?
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Shara.
for purpose of a motion,
For a purpose of motion, Commissioner Shara.
the Planning and Development Commission finds application PUD 2217, Brenda McKenzie for,
No, you're on the wrong. You want to approve her before she even speaks.
Nice try.
Brenda thought she was gonna have an easy day.
We're on PUD 3063.
I went to the wrong one. I'm so sorry. That's my bad. If I don't find it soon, I'll let
It's
somebody
just-
jump in.
It's just PUD 3063 is the application that we're on, Commissioner Shara.
We're going to try again. Mr. Chair, for purpose of a motion,
Commissioner Shara.
the Planning and Development Commission finds application number PUD 2217.
No, you went right back to the brand number.
3063.
3063.
What am I doing here?
3063.
Okay. Not enough coffee. Finds application number PUD 3063, consistent with the county, excuse me, the Citrus County Comprehensive Plan and Citrus County Land Development Code. And this board recommends approval with conditions of the application to the Board of County Commissioners based upon the evidence and testimony presented and the staff report and conclusions regarding this petition.
We have a first by Commissioner Shara,
Second.
a second by Commissioner Stone. Any further discussions on this application?
Mr. Chair, just for clarification, that's as was recommended by staff without the RV and boat storages.
Correct, I was going to bring that up. Thank you.
Thank you.
And this is an approval, and I guess I should ask you this, Commissioner Shara. This is for the suggested conditions from the county.
Yes, for the
With
conditions that
conditions.
are identified in the staff report.
Thank you. Any other further discussions? All approved, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0.
Mr. Chair, this application has been scheduled for the Board of County Commissioners on April 22nd at 5:01 PM.
Thank you. All right, now it's time for PUD 2217 for Brenda McKenzie and BFB Storage. The applicant come forward while we get the staff introduction, please.
Thank you, sir. This application is a request for a planned unit development to allow for a mini warehouse in the general commercial district. This is an aerial view of the subject property. This is looking east and west on East Goodwin Court. This is looking at the subject property from East Goodwin Court. This is looking at the subject property from North Florida Avenue. This is looking north on North Florida Avenue at the intersection with East Goodwin Court. This is looking south on North Florida Avenue at the intersection with East Goodwin Court. And this is the most recent site plan submitted by the applicant. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. For the record, my name is Brenda McKenzie. I'm with McKenzie Permitting and Consulting. My address is 7232 East Gospel Island Road in Inverness, and I am the applicant for this project. I do have Mike Fieser with me, who's one of the property owners who would like to be present during our initial introduction. This is a request for an expansion to an existing storage unit. The property's zone GNC, but has to have a PUD in order for this to be a use in GNC. They are not going to be asking for any additional entrances or access. They're going to use the existing entrance into their existing storage unit. When they bought the property, they always had this additional property purchased, so in event of needing an expansion, they would have that. They are at full capacity for their storage unit and are in need to expand. We have Michael Wilburn with Local Engineering to be our civil engineer for the project and our structural engineer. We've addressed all drainage and all drainage concerns. In the staff report, they're saying we need a little stricter buffer, and the property owners are aware of that, and we are in complete agreement with that condition. They also have read the other conditions. In the event the board recommends approval, they have read those conditions and are in agreement to be able to obtain those. They have other storage units that are full capacity. They've been business owners in Citrus County for decades with a very good reputation and run a very nice facility. But we are in need of expansion for their existing storage unit. So that's our introduction. Mr. Fieser's here if you have anything else to say to begin with.
Good morning, members of the board. I am Mike Fieser. I'm here with my business partner of 46 years. We've Robert Skeeter Burlew and our friend Kurt Johnson, who owns Great Oaks Contracting. We are appealing to you this morning. About 5 years ago, we built this facility with another partner, a high school classmate, Scott Borgeson, who used to sit on the board here. Scott was not well enough to be present today to be with us, but we built the facility in mind for several things. We're all getting up in age. To see us through retirement and with our family in mind, our kids and grandkids. The business currently provides quite a few jobs. We have one full-time manager, which is my wife, Nanette, and one part-time employee, but quite a few other subs involved in the business as well. Maintenance person, a gate person. Worthington AC provides services for our air conditioning for the climate-controlled units. We have a lawn service that does the main part of the property. I mow the lots that are in question this morning that are up for your review. And pressure washing service. So it's a business that provides employment for quite a few people. We're asking your consideration this morning for one building, 40 by 100, and I have to underline what Brenda said. It's not a new facility. It's just adding on to an existing facility that's been there for 5 years. And we are at full capacity. I was spending some time just recently. I've lived here all my life, most of my life, and spending some time just recently with, I say recently, it's been a couple of years ago now when we were talking about it, with one of our county commissioners, and his perception on storage that he shared with me that particular time in conversation. He said, storage facilities require almost no services from the county, fire, emergency, so on and so forth, but provide substantial income for the county. If I may, I'd just like to share with you in 2020, we paid $16,825 in property taxes. 2021, $18,155. 2022, $20,374. 2024, this past year, we paid $25,287 in property taxes. So it does generate quite a bit of income for the county coffers. And I have some pictures that, if I have the opportunity, I'd like to pass them out and show you what the property currently looks like. We believe there's still a market. We're only talking about 32 units in this 40 by 140 building. And when we're done with it, it'll look like the rest of the facility. It'll be dressed up with stucco lap siding and stone, and it'll look very appealing from the roadway. Do you have any questions? Go ahead.
Okay, so we also wanted to know that we have been a good neighbor. They get along good with other people on the street. There's one home on the property that's basically non-habitable. It's to be condemned, that would be removed when we do this part of the construction. And the conditions that are required will all be met at time of permitting. Thank you. He does have some pictures he wanted to show. Is he allowed to give those today?
Madam Attorney, can you answer that for me? I believe we can, correct, or no?
Are you saying cannot?
Can we or can we not?
They're being offered after the quasi judicial deadline. They should have been provided by that deadline, so.
No.
I agree. Thank you.
Thank you.
Does the staff have any questions for applicant?
Yes, sir. Just for clarification, is this proposing to take access off of East Goodwin Court or no?
No.
Okay. And just to confirm it in the record, you have read through the conditions and you have no conflict with those?
We have.
Right, he has, and his partner has as well. Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Does the board have any questions for the applicant? Commissioner Shara, or Commissioner Collins?
Sorry. I have one. You say you have no objections with the conditions of approval, but I know one of the deviations was that you didn't have to meet the facade standards facing North Goodwin. Are you willing to meet that?
I've read that one, and it seems like that wouldn't be necessary. I mean, the buffering's gonna be there, and that is a dirt road. Goodwin is a private dirt road. What they're saying is that whole road going down Goodwin, that you'd have to meet the facade like you would on 41. I believe they would like to deviate from that particular one. It's going down, it's facing Goodwin. I mean, if required, they would have to, but with the buffering and that being a private dirt road, and such a long distance, but that probably would be one they would like to deviate from.
It would primarily be doors, and my understanding in reading some of this information that only the 41 facade would need to be done, but maybe I'm misunderstanding. But we would comply with whatever you deem appropriate for that section.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
If I may just address a couple of concerns that I know there was one letter sent, and as I stated, my wife has managed the property for the past 5 years. She's there 5 days a week and a lot of Saturdays and Sundays, and she has never once seen any water buildup, not even an inch of water buildup in the DRA. So, flooding is not an issue. I mow the property myself personally. There's not a single gopher tortoise on the property in question, because I would see it. So, I just wanted to address some of those concerns. If given the opportunity to, to show you what is existing on the property. I know you had a couple of pictures up, but the pictures that I have are, it's just not, it's kind of a mess what's there right now, and we would definitely be, the building would definitely be an improvement over what is there now.
There's a condemned home, and there's a site where the people are really doing illegal dumping, so that would be cleared up at permitting. Thank you.
Commissioner Shara.
We'll come back.
Good morning. Before you leave,
Okay.
We're not done with you.
Oh, okay, okay.
sorry for trying to get you approved out of order there.
No,
All
that
right.
was okay. I was
As a
fine.
follow-up to Joe's question, I'm looking at this particular site plan, and I've increased the resolution in front of me. And I believe I read, so clarify this, that there would be a access off of East Goodwin. I believe I just heard you say there's no access off of
There's
East
no
Goodwin.
access off of East Goodwin.
No.
That's a private dirt road.
No, we have an existing entrance now that was per code when we built the facility 5 years ago, and that would be our entrance and exit.
Okay, that's a
There would
clarification
be
for
no,
me then.
no traffic whatsoever on Goodwin Road.
And that'll lead to another question, but you've probably answered it already. Since there is no traffic, will this project be improving East Goodwin?
Oh.
I drove it. It's a difficult road to
absolutely.
drive.
Absolutely, that's why I brought these pictures.
Well, you're talking about developing the dirt road?
I'm just saying that, when as you
Well,
drive back
it
in
would
there.
alleviate any more traffic going down to those lots that they're dumping on and they have the condemned home on. It would alleviate traffic going down those lots, so that should help the residents on the north side of Goodwin.
Okey-doke. That's all for now, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Shara. Any other questions? Don't leave, I got questions. We'll let you know when to leave.
Okay, we're leaving. All right.
Who owns that private road? Who owns Goodwin? Is that
Private.
part of the property that the applicant owns, or,
It's a private road
I mean, it's private to,
to the.
I know you're gonna put a buffer and a fence and all that down that fence line.
Right.
But I mean, who actually owns the road, and what will that do to, the drainage and the passage of that roadway?
Well, the drainage is gonna be taken care of by, local engineering, and it shows the DRA that will take care of that. And as far as the fencing and buffering, there's a setback from Goodwin, even if it is a private road. You still have a setback from the property line, even if it is a private road.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
If no other further questions, you may sit down. Thank you.
Okay.
All right, we get the staff to come forward to make their presentation, please.
Good morning. Jen
Morning.
Perkins, Senior Planner. Before I get started, I wanted to clarify something. I believe I heard the applicant say that the building was 40 feet by 140 feet. As shown on the most recent revised site plan or master plan, I believe it says 180 feet. And that actually on the master plan too, they're stating a 7,200 square foot building. Okay. This application is requesting a mini warehouse building in a GNC district, which requires a PUD in order to expand their mini warehouse business to the south. This is a view from North Florida Avenue, and you can see that single-family dwelling on the middle parcel that was referred to. This is looking at the subject property off of East Goodwin Court, looking southwest towards North Florida Avenue. You can see one of the existing mini warehouse buildings in the back with the fence that runs alongside the northern property line of the existing business. So even though the parcels to the north are zoned general commercial, 2 of them are developed with residences. That means they are residentially designated and required to have a 15-foot type C landscape buffer. The boundary survey shows the depth of the property is 96 feet. The master plan is showing a 10-foot type A, 2 24-foot wide access aisles, and the building width at 40 feet, which equals 98 feet outside of the access easement. And that 96 feet on the boundary survey was also outside of the access easement. So as I just said, a 15-foot type C is required along those residential properties, and easements cannot contain buffers. Buffers must be outside of easements. There does not appear to be enough room on the site for the proposed use as it is designated on the master plan. The master plan also states that East Goodwin Court is unimproved. This is a picture from the very eastern end of East Goodwin Court, looking towards North Florida Avenue. It is improved, it is considered improved, and any elevation that fronts on an improved roadway requires facade. So the proposed use is compatible with the existing business to the south, but it may not be compatible with those adjacent residences and the surrounding residential neighborhood. Meeting facade standards and installing that 15-foot type C buffer may reduce that incompatibility. Thank you.
Thank you. Does the applicant have any questions for staff? For the record, she said no. Does the board have any questions for staff?
I have one.
Commissioner Bramlett.
Can you speak a little bit more about the inconsistencies in the measurements that you brought up in the very beginning?
Yes. Oh, in the very beginning?
Yeah, the 96 feet, the 98 feet,
that,
where
yes.
do you think that's not, it's not going to fit?
So the boundary survey shows that it's 96 feet outside of that easement. If you, I keep going the wrong way. So then the master plan, if you add up 10-foot buffer, 2 24-foot wide access aisles, and the 40-foot building, that equals 98 feet, and they're showing that outside the access easement. So they're showing 98 feet of proposed development when the boundary survey is showing only 96 feet of depth outside of that easement.
And they're showing a 10-foot type A, but you're saying it should be a 15-foot.
Along those, right, yeah, there's 2 residences up here.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So there's about 7 feet difference between what they're showing as improved or improvable versus what you're telling us is possible.
Yes.
Okay. And we're just supposed to assume that that would come off of the building improvement? Like, obviously, if we had no deviations in the setbacks and the buffers, the only other place that it could come from.
Right, but that is not for me to decide
Okay,
or
I'm just,
design.
correct, I understand. Thank you.
Of course.
Commissioner Scherer.
I'd like to stick with the developer math and commission math here, just for a second, because I looked at this.
Make sure I did it right.
I just want to make sure I do understand. If I understood correctly, the 15-foot of the 30-foot East Godwin Road easement is part of this property.
Correct.
So the dimensions begin 15 foot into the road easement.
Correct.
All right, so you have that 15 feet. You then have the buffer. The buffer can't be in that easement, so then you have
Correct.
to place the buffer. So I'm just going sequentially,
Yep.
north to south. And the buffer is going to be 15 feet by LDC standard if we make that condition. Then they have the 48 feet of road, 24 feet in each direction, 48 feet of road. And then they've got, one on each side.
Yeah,
Or you can go 24, 40-foot building and 24.
correct.
So we add all those numbers up, and now that exceeds 98.
Right, and so this is showing it up to, just like the boundary survey, it's outside of that 15-foot portion of the easement.
Right.
So I'm comparing apples to apples here. Outside the easement, outside the easement.
Well, I get 118 feet. I don't get 98 feet. If you have 15 foot of, they can encroach with it to 15 feet of to the center line of that access road. That's 15
Note
feet.
that they cannot put anything in that 15 feet.
Okay, so the road, nothing in the road.
Mhm.
So then if you take that 15 feet out, you're at 103 feet. You have 15 24, 40, 24.
So I get 48. I get 48, 88,
And
and
15.
98. What they have on their site plan, what they have designated is 98.
It's the
I'm not
difference between your
saying-
10-foot and your proposed, your
What I'm saying they
recommendation
need.
requirement
Correct.
for
So
for 15 feet.
what they have is 98 feet on their master plan that they have submitted.
Okay. And second question, on the east side, they have met the required buffer distance from the residences on the east side.
Yes, sir.
So the only issue is the residences along East Goodwin.
Correct.
And we'll come back, but I believe I heard the applicant say they will meet the conditions. So we'll have to ask them how they plan to do that. That's not
Yes.
yours to answer. No access off of East Goodwin.
Correct.
So-
Off of the master plan, correct. That is what it says.
We'll see a fence
Mhm.
on the south side of East Goodwin.
I-
And that fence has to be outside of the road easement as well.
Right.
And is that considered part of the buffer, the 15-foot buffer, that fence?
No.
Or-
But the other thing too, that I believe on the master plan, it states that it's going to be chain link. So if you were alluding to that being part of facade or hiding it, as it shows on the master plan, it's chain link.
Okay, all right. I think I understand. Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you, Commissioner Scherer. Any other questions for staff? I only have one for you. And mine is they're going to use the existing main entrance to get in that. Has the fire department, fire marshal, have any concerns, or do you know if has the code changed since they built that originally to add the addition?
I do not know the answer to that question. It would have to meet those standards when they came in, if they came in for permitting.
So that's governed here in the conditions so they would have to meet that requirement.
It's not in the conditions, but
But-
when they would come in for a
right,
permit,
for the
they
permitting
would be
part.
required to meet that.
Great, thank you.
Mhm.
All right, no other questions from the commissioners? All right, at this time, I'm going to open the public portion of the meeting will now be open. If there's anyone present who would like to speak on this application, please come forward to the podium. As a reminder, individuals have 3 minutes and organizations have 5 minutes. And when speaking on this application, please address this board. If you have documentations that you want to enter into the record, please provide a copy to the recording secretary. Anyone?
We'd like
Yeah.
to provide some documents.
He's the applicant. I think that's the applicant. The applicant can't
Yeah,
provide.
the applicant, we're not going to accept anything from the applicant and the applicant's party. We can't because of the law.
I'm one of the owners, so I'm an applicant, so I can't speak. Is that weird?
Oh,
You can speak. You can speak, but you just can't provide any documentation.
Okay, all right. I'm just here to support the project as it's well needed.
Name and address.
Basically, everything
I need
was
to
said
get your
that I
name
was
and
gonna
address,
say.
please.
Robert Burlew, 4491 Larch Lane, Hernando.
All right, please proceed.
All right, I'm just here to support the project. Basically, it's needed. We're 100% capacity. We service that area and service it pretty well. That's basically all I need to say. I'm just here to support it.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Your yellow paper, sir, to the recording secretary. Thank you. Anyone else?
Good morning, Commissioners. My name's Kurt Johnson. I own Great Oaks General Contractors. I use these folks for my clients all the time. It's a very clean, very well-kept, maintained business. I'd like to show some pictures, if I could, produce them to you. And some of
You're
the
part of the
conditions.
applicant?
No, sir.
You're the general contractor on
I'm
record?
Not on the project. I'm a general contractor. I do business with them. I have my clients come and rent from them when they need to.
So
need a
your
place for
testimony is
storage.
you have no
I have
desire
no
to build, you're not
investment,
gonna be billed?
Nothing to
Madam
do with any
Attorney,
of the
can you
construction.
intervene? Can answer the question.
It's at the chair's discretion at this point. He says he's not with the applicant.
I mean, they're just pictures.
Please, you can bring,
These are just photos of what the conditions are there. The other thing I'd like to say is the storm drain, the management system that'll be there. The concern, I heard one of the concerns was the water going into the road. When Michael gets done, generally what happens and what I've seen in my business, in my construction, there'll always be a berm. It's gonna make the water go to the drainage area. It will not go over into the roadway. So I just wanted to add that. And the facilities are very well maintained, so it's a nice-looking building. So, thank you.
thank you. Anyone else? Anyone? Madam Attorney, do we ask for a rebuttal at this point?
Well, you can ask, but rebuttal would only be to rebut something the neighbor said, and I think whoever, or the public said, and whoever spoke was in favor of the application, so I don't know how helpful that would be.
All right, does the applicant have any rebuttal to the public input portion only?
No, sir.
Thank you. All right, we'll bring the public portion of the meeting is now closed. I'm gonna bring the discussion back to the board, to the commissioners.
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Shara.
I'll get this going then. I'm not clear on a comment made by the developer versus the presentation by staff related to the buffer, the type C buffer. I believe I heard a reference that the applicant was willing to accept the conditions of staff, but that condition is not consistent with their application. The 15-foot type C along the residences, even though this is a quiet neighbor most of the time, would need to be imposed for any property that abuts parcels developed with single family. So I'm not sure where we stand with that issue, and did they accept that or not?
Thank you, Commissioner Shara. Commissioner Collins.
Trying to think of a compromise. I think the use is just, it's a continuation of the existing use. Based on the type of use, the 24 wide drives are probably necessary. So I was wondering, I want them to meet the facade standards on that side. It's still a road and it could be improved even though it's private, but I wonder, and I don't know if the code still allows this, where if we can allow the 10-foot type buffer, but with the enhanced plantings that would be in a C, in the C. So they have enhanced plant, just as a compromise, additional plantings as a 10-foot wide. I'm not sure that the measurements still work, but this is prepared by their engineer. They're going to have to, in the end, show that at time of permitting. So that's my 2 cents and where I would stand on it.
Thank you, Commissioner Collins. Anyone else?
Mr. Chair?
Commissioner Shara.
I read this in the same way, trying to be a problem solver, not a problem maker. I don't know because I can't, when I look at the survey, the resolution on my screen doesn't allow me to look at those numbers. So this doesn't seem, I'm gonna make a comment which is my inference. This doesn't seem to be an unwillingness on the part of the applicant to meet the 15-foot type C. It appears that there's not the dimensional space available to install that. If it's a matter of, if there's space available, the applicant absolutely should be required to put in a type C. To my colleague's comment, is there a compromise that we could accept a type C with a 10-foot versus a 15-foot? So I'm looking for a solution, looking for a solution here in terms of our ability to, where we need to go. First of all, we need to know what is.
Well, unfortunately, staff can't design the project for the applicant. This board can't design the project for the applicant. So you all have to, listen to the testimony and evidence that's been provided and make a decision based upon that evidence.
Can we ask a question of the applicant?
Not-
Do they accept
No.
this condition? All right. We can impose this condition on any approval we make.
We can recommend it
To the Board of County
Board of
Commissioners,
County
yes, ma'am.
Commissioners. Thank you.
Yeah, so what I'm hearing from you guys is you want to add a condition or amend a condition of the original conditions? Is that what I'm understanding?
I still have a question as to whether is it a dimensional restriction? I didn't hear that answer, and not knowing that, I would not move off of number 4 the way it's prepared in the conditions if the physical space exists. If
I
the
believe
phys-
the physical space, if we approve this, when they bring in their plans to build that structure has to fit within of the boundaries and within the scope of this conditions. Am I right, Madam Attorney?
Yes, sir. Whatever the conditions are that you all approve, that's what they have to meet at time of permitting. So they would have to
So if a
arrange
20-foot wide building is the only
everything.
thing that
So-
can fit, that's what they,
Unless the county commission changes it,
right,
yes, of
correct.
course.
Just our recommendation.
Right, you're just making a recommendation, and then if everything goes through the county commission as is recommended by this board, then they would have to, adjust the plan to fit the conditions.
All right, and I'd like to continue saying that I agree with the facade area down East Godwin, not because of what's there today, but what could be there in the future. And I believe it's all, no more residential will be allowed to be in there once those homes are to be rebuilt because of the zoning. So there will be no residential there after that, but the facade should be required, in my opinion.
Well, actually, the property that the residences are on would continue to stay residential. It's just that front.
Right, until that property
front
gets sold.
section.
I was referring to
GNC
when that
right-
property gets sold.
Yeah,
the
right here,
mobile
though.
home and-
Those properties, those residences would still stay there.
Right. So they'll still be accessing Goodwin.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, so in my opinion, the measurements are incorrect. They need to be tightened up. That'll be tightened up at the time of permitting, but really, in reality, it should be what the conditions are stated, and there's no deviations. The facade requirements in the 15-foot type C. There's enough room for it. They're just gonna have to make little tweaks on their plan.
All right. Anyone else?
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Shara.
I'm just going to continue along that. We're dealing with a lack of information, but since the developer has not provided the information on dimensions, I believe that the number 4, the 15-foot type C, should remain in the conditions. And if at a later date, they either have to do it, I guess they have to do it at that point. Because this looks like a good project. It's a continuation of an existing business. From a site visit, only a site visit, it appears to be a well-run facility. I went several times a day. I didn't hear noise. I didn't see any activity that would believe they're not a good neighbor. I've not read anything that they're not a good neighbor. But so we have this particular issue, but I would support what my colleague said and keep the condition as it is.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Yeah, I would agree. I think this is a useful project. There is definitely a need in this area. I've been turned away myself on a couple of occasions when I needed some storage. So, and I think the gentlemen involved are sincere in their effort. So I would certainly approve this.
All right.
Mr.
Thank
Chair,
you.
for the purpose of a motion.
For purpose of a motion, Commissioner.
The Planning and Development Commission finds application number PUD 2217 consistent with the Citrus County Comprehensive Plan and the Citrus County Land Development Code, and that this board recommends the approval with the conditions as read of the application to the Board of County Commissioners based upon the evidence and testimony presented and the staff report and conclusions regarding this petition.
And we got a first by Commissioner Bramlett, second by Commissioner Shara. Any further discussions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. All right, this time we're going to take a quick 5-minute break for the board, and we'll reconvene. Can't look at that clock. At 10:25.
So the reason I like this one as opposed to the other one.
Yeah, you
See, it looks like the icon is pretty recognizable.
What, it's an alligator?
No, not that recognizable. Oh, this is top secret.
We're trying to get to the county website that has the
I
agenda
use
for this meeting.
Clerk Civic.
Because
Because it's got the index on it. It's easier when somebody says, look at the survey.
He's
The
been
one- the
doing-
one we get, the one that's on the cloud, it's just everything all on one page That's why I use this one.
So he's been gloating to me for the past 6 months ever since we got this, and I never did it, but now I've decided to cave in and. Yeah.
Yeah. No, they're all just page after page after page.
And even worse, it takes forever to come into focus when you change it.
Thank you. Welcome back. Okay, now at this time, it's time for application AA/PUD -2025-00001. We get the applicant come forward as we get the staff introduction, please.
Thank you, sir. This application proposes to amend the LDC Atlas map and establish a master plan for up to 125 single-family dwellings on approximately 34 acres. This is a map of the subject property. This is a photo of the subject property. Looking north from the subject property, looking south from the subject property, looking west across South Rock Crusher Road. This is the revised master plan. Thank you.
Thank you. The applicant come forward, please.
Good morning. We have a presentation.
Good morning. Please state your name and all that.
Yes. Sorry, I was waiting for the presentation. I'm Betsy Jolly, Planning Manager for Coastal Engineering, located at 966 Candlelight Boulevard, Brooksville, Florida, 34601. I'm also a certified planner and have worked in planning and entitlements for over 20 years. I'm joined by Ron Pianta, also of Coastal Engineering. In his prior position, was with Hernando County as Planning Director for over 16 years. Also here is the applicant, Mike Lawrence for Garden Street Communities, on behalf of the property owner, RBW Properties. Apologies, I don't know that I know how to work this. Can you move the
I can
slide
move the slide,
forward?
yes.
Okay, thank you. One more, please. Yeah, so in summary, staff went over the presentation, or excuse me, the revised request. It is for 125 units, a reduction from 136 units. And that's closer to the 3 units an acre development pattern that exists in the area. The property is located to the east of Rock Crusher Road and north of West Homosassa Trail. Currently zoned low-density residential, allowing mobile homes. Proposed for low-density residential planned unit development. And the property has a future land use of low-density residential, allowing up to 6 units an acre. In response to feedback received at the prior PC hearing, we did revise the request to be more sensitive to the surrounding area. And I'll now turn it over to Ron Pianta to go over the original and revised request in more detail and how it meets your comp plan in terms of addressing incompatible land uses.
Thank you. Ron Pianta, and that's spelled Pianta. And thank you for moving the slides. As was stated, we have made some significant changes to the previous plan. This plan was reviewed by the PDC in January, on January the 2nd. The original plan consisted of a bubble plan of 136 units and a density of 3.99 dwelling units per acre. All the lots were 6,000 square feet in size. There was an FAR request of 0.55, which is a deviation from 0.35. And the lots in the subdivision at that time backed up to Rock Crusher Road. In the revised plan, and I will walk you through these two plans so we can compare the old plan to the new plan. But in the revised plan, all the lots are depicted. It's no longer a bubble plan. Number of units have been reduced to 125, so a reduction of 11 units. And the density's been reduced to 3.67 units per acre. All the 6,000 square foot lots, there are still some 6,000 square foot lots. They are now all internal to the project. And on the external property lines to the north and to the south, we're proposing 9,600 square foot lots on those perimeter boundaries. The FAR of 0.35 would be met for the perimeter lots, those larger lots. We're still requesting some flexibility on the internal lots, an FAR of 0.55. And what I think is significant is that those lots will really not be visible from the perimeter of the project. We've also developed some open space and drainage to provide a visual buffer to the west. And we are providing a future right-of-way connection to the east for some vacant, undeveloped properties to the east. Hey, did you do that or did I do it?
I think you did.
Okay. I went backwards. So again, this is the original master plan that you saw in January, on January 2nd. Of this year. You can see that it's somewhat of a bubble plan, just depicting the residential area in gold or yellow. It does depict the retention area, and it does depict a perimeter buffer. And this is the revised master plan. The applicant had elected to delay this project to make some enhancements based upon comments that were made by the planning PDC at the last meeting. And we believe we've made some enhancements that improve the project and provide some significant benefits. And again, the enhancements were summarized in the previous slide, but we have reduced the density. And the density to the north is roughly 3.25 units per acre. So we're slightly above that. And again, to the north, we're proposing those larger perimeter lots at 9,600 square feet. There is a vacant property to the east. We're providing a stub out to the east. That property consists of an unrecorded plat. Those lots and streets are basically paper streets, and there's approximately 100 acres that are owned by one individual. So we do expect that that property will develop at some point in time. Therefore, we've provided that property with access, and we'll be providing that property with utility connections as well. And I want to talk a little bit about the comprehensive plan consistency. And I'm going to read these policies verbatim out of your comprehensive plan. Policy 17.2.3 says the county will develop PSAs within portions of the county designated for suburban development and establish priorities and provisions for the extension of services to each area. Policy 17.25 states that new development locating in the PSA shall be allowed only when central water and sewer are provided. For new residential and land uses, this shall apply to developments of 4 units or greater per acre. This property is located within the primary service area. Therefore, we believe that it should be prioritized for development and the extension of utilities, which we are proposing to do and proposing to make a significant investment to extend utilities to this site, which will provide the opportunity for the county to pick up additional customers and expand those services to other properties. New development in the PSA is encouraged, subject to the availability of utility service. In this case, utility service is available. Again, the developer is proposing improvements to make sure that those utilities are provided in accordance with county standards. This site is an infill site. Again, it's within the PSA, so we think that's a significant point of consistency with your comprehensive plan. And again, the utilities are being provided to this site. And we will enter a utility service agreement with the county, make sure that all your standards are met. Oops. I'm going to read this policy to you as well. This policy addresses compatibility, which I think was a major concern the last time we were in front of you. And again, the enhancements we've made were intended to improve compatibility and make this project consistent and compatible with the surrounding area. Policy 17.2.8 says the county shall utilize land use techniques and development standards to achieve a functional and compatible land use framework which reduces incompatible land uses. So in this particular case, this policy encourages that you employ specific techniques to maintain compatibility and enhance compatibility with surrounding development in the neighborhood. In this case, the techniques that we're using is the larger perimeter lots at 9,600 square feet. We are also proposing an enhanced perimeter buffer of 25 feet. That would be supplemented by fencing and landscaping where needed. This buffer that we are proposing exceeds the minimum buffer that's required by your code, which is basically just a grass strip. We are also proposing a perimeter primary building setback of 40 feet. And we're also proposing to comply with the ISR requirements for the perimeter lots, which again will enhance visibility and compatibility with surrounding properties. The internal lots will remain at 6,000 square feet, and we are proposing a deviation to 0.55. We do believe we need some flexibility for those internal lots so that we can develop and build houses that are compatible with the product that's being provided and the market as it now exists. We have proposed to reduce the density to 3.67 units per acre to the north. The north is developed at about 3.25 units per acre, so we're not that much further, not that much greater than that particular density. We also created a visual buffer along Rock Crusher Road where previously the lots backed up to Rock Crusher Road. I can show you that again if you'd like to see it, but that also provides that visual buffer along Rock Crusher Road. And we are proposing enhanced architectural standards for aesthetics and monotony control, and I will turn it back over to Betsy to talk about that. Thank you.
Thank you. Betsy Jolly again for the record with Coastal. As you can see on the slide, those are some sample elevations that are proposed. The home builder is proposing enhanced architectural standards, and I became very familiar with these in my recent position with the home builder. I find it noteworthy that your code doesn't require these, but the home builder is offering them. In terms of benefits, this means houses across the street and next to each other will provide two different architectural elements. This avoids a cookie cutter type of development where every home looks the same. And as you can see, it avoids a snout nose appearance where the garage door dominates the view from the street. Street trees will be planted every 30 feet on center on internal roads, and 2 trees will be provided on each lot. And again, the new open space buffer area along Rock Crusher Road creates a scenic corridor. This is the planned utility service map. It shows the planned utility connections, including an on-site pump station and 3,200 linear feet extension of off-site force main that will connect to the existing 8-inch force main to the northwest. Water is available immediately adjacent to the site. In terms of other infrastructure, 2 access points are being provided per code along Rock Crusher Road, and a traffic impact analysis will be submitted and reviewed by the county at preliminary plat to identify any necessary transportation improvements. Adequate capacity exists for solid waste, and drainage will be required to hold both pre and post-development stormwater on the site and will be compliant with code and SwiftMud standards. So in conclusion, the request has been revised to be more characteristic of the existing homes in the area. This was acknowledged by staff in their recent staff report. And again, pursuant to policy 17.2.8 of your comp plan, the request incorporates land use techniques and development standards to reduce incompatible land uses. Specifically, the provided landscape buffer exceeds code, and the perimeter building setback ensures no homes will be built within 40 feet of the entire property boundary. In addition, 50-foot lots have been shifted internal to the site, resulting in around 210 feet of distance between the existing homes to the north and the future homes to the south within the project. Also, again, 80-foot lots have been put on the perimeter to be more compatible with the lots to the north. Also, again, the applicant has voluntarily offered enhanced architectural standards, and that ensures future homes will complement the area, with home prices starting at $310,000. In terms of the proposed conditions too, we'd like to add, in condition number 2, that development standards, if approved, include the 9,600 square foot minimum lot size and a minimum lot width of 80 feet. And as to number 5, would like to clarify that the ISR deviation is not needed for the 80-foot lots, but will still be needed for the 50-foot lots that have been shifted internal. And finally, we respectfully request your support, and we're available to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Does the staff have any questions for the applicant?
No questions.
Thank you. Does the board have any questions for the applicant?
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Shara.
Good morning. A couple items you did not address that were discussed in the last time you were here. One was open space and recreation. Another one dealt with sidewalks, bike paths, that type of thing. And I didn't see any reference to that in your discussions here.
I think we intend to meet code in terms of any required open space, sidewalks. Yeah, we'll let Ron chime in here.
That's correct. Ron Pianta, and we did indicate that in our project narrative, which you should have that as part of your backup. But we will meet those requirements. I believe we've also increased or enhanced the amount of open space on the, I can get backwards here.
Do you want this?
Go to the master plan, the revised master plan. Here we are. So I believe in this case, we've increased the amount of open space, and we've also increased the amount of retention on this particular plan. And much of the retention, again, and some of the open space is along Rock Crusher Road to provide a visual buffer.
Now, to your point then, I don't see anything referenced. Talk about sidewalks, bike paths, other recreational facilities for the residents.
Yes, we'll meet the code requirements for sidewalks and bike paths if bike paths are required. We've provided an area for recreation, and the developer will provide recreation to the subdivision based upon what the code requires.
And I'll clarify my question with staff in a moment, but my understanding is if there's more than 40 dwelling units in an area or in a development, you'll need to put in 4-foot wide sidewalks on both sides of the street. I need to clarify that. That's my reading. I'm not insisting that that's correct yet until I get it clarified.
And we will do that.
You
We will meet
that.
that requirement, yes, sir.
All right. And as we look at the site plan, where are the recreational areas that you're referring to? I see green, which I'm assuming is open space,
Those will be open space and/or recreation.
and/or recreation
Yes, sir.
areas. Traffic, which was a major issue in our last discussion.
Yes, sir.
As I read the application, I read staff's report, you talk about the developer's obligation to work with and fund the necessary traffic studies and, if necessary, turning lanes or other improvements.
Yes,
All right.
that is correct, and we agree to that, and we agree to that recommended condition.
And you've acknowledged and approved that if it's necessary to deed certain property on the perimeter along Rock Crusher for turning lanes, that's included in your
Yes, sir.
master plan.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Shara. Commissioner Collins, did you?
I'm not sure I actually have a question. It's just more of a comment. I'm not quite sure why the open space, which you indicated would also serve as a recreational component, was in that bottom southeast corner. I mean, usually your recreational and your open space is going to be accessible to all of your residential lots. So you would either centralize it or why did you put it down there?
Is that a question or a statement?
Well, why
Little bit
did you?
of both?
Why did? Yeah, a little bit of both.
Well, I think we thought that the locations were appropriate, given the fact that it's a relatively small subdivision. It's 125 lots, and we will provide sidewalk and bike access to all the lots to the recreation area. So in that case, we felt the location was appropriate.
Okay.
Thank you.
Commissioner Shara.
Before you sit down, let's tackle the elephant, one of the elephants in the room from last time, which was the ISR.
Yes, sir.
I believe I read in your report that you're proposing that the larger lots, the 9,000 square foot lots, would meet the 35% ISR.
Yes, sir.
And that you're proposing that the smaller 6,000 foot lots would be at a maximum of 55%, but I believe I read you indicated could be somewhat less, down to 50%.
That is correct, based upon the model that's chosen and developed on the individual lots.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Shara. Commissioner,
I had a question down in your open space recreational area, however you want to call it, future connection. What are we doing there? I mean, just creating an easement, or is it going to be, because when, in my mind, when you create a future connection, that means there's something planned down the road potentially, or there could potentially be something that this developer or might be looking at? I mean, is that?
So let me tell you why we did that. One, we're extending utilities to the site, so that's a significant investment. And this property and the adjoining properties in the primary service area. So we felt it was beneficial to the county to do two things. One is to provide a right-of-way, would be a right-of-way access to that particular property to the east, and also give that property the ability to connect to central water and sewer at the time that property develops. Quickly looking at the property appraiser information, that property consists of about 100 acres under one single owner. So, we have to anticipate that at some point in time it is prioritized for development because it's also in the primary service area. And therefore, we thought it was beneficial to the county and important to be able to provide that property with access to public utilities.
So that would be dedicated to the county, or How would that
Yes,
work?
if that's required, that would be dedicated to the county. So what the developer would do would be to enter into a utility service agreement with your staff. And of course, that would go to the Board of County Commissioners, and that would spell out all the requirements for improvements and dedication, et cetera.
So at this point, just primarily access for utilities.
Yes, it would be a paper street. It would be a right-of-way that's there for vehicular access if needed. If that property needs, some kind of secondary access, it would be available.
That's all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the commissioners? I just have one question for you. Have you reviewed the Technical Service Division staff comments?
Yes, sir.
And you're completely okay with all them?
Yes, sir. I believe that we pointed out the two conditions that we would request be modified.
And that was on condition number 2, 9,600 square foot lot?
Yes, sir. Include those lots as specified on the master plan and on the perimeter of the property.
And then what was the second one?
The second one was, there's a condition, I forget the exact number, but the condition says we have to meet all the ISR requirements. We're requesting that we meet them for the 9,600 square foot lots, but we have some flexibility to go up to 0.55 on the smaller lots.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, no further questions. We'll get the staff to come forward and make their presentation.
Good morning, Melissa Morris, planner.
Good morning.
So again, this is AA PUD 2025-0001. This is a map of the subject property, and we did hear this similar application for the same parcel on January 25th. They are requesting an Atlas amendment to remove the mobile home designation, create a master plan for up to 125 single-family homes with a density of 3.67 units an acre. The prior application did pose 136 units and 3.99 units an acre of density. This is actually the neighboring homes off of West Keating, which is just adjacent. They have an approximate density of 3 units an acre. These are street views, some additional homes along West Keating Court. This was the proposed site plan and their previous request. As you can see, it is no longer a bubble plan. There are only 23 of the perimeter lots that have the 80-foot width to match the adjacent Hills of Avalon subdivision. The remaining, I think, 13 perimeter lots are these smaller 50 by 120 lots. They have added a street, changed some drainage retention areas, and added future stub out that we just discussed. Let's see, so there are I believe 102 lots remaining that are the 50 by 120 size. And this is the site plan, again, as submitted. And they are still requesting deviation for the 102 lots in yellow. Some of them are perimeter lots, requesting the deviation for ISR for up to 55%. On those lots you see in yellow, there are 102 of them again. The increased buffers in the larger perimeter lots, 23 perimeter lots in red, may help increase the compatibility. But I'd like to say in summation, the application proposes a single-family home development with a density that still remains higher than the surrounding area, and it is requesting a substantial deviation of the LDC maximum ISR, which is 35%, and again, that's 102 lots that they're requesting that deviation for up to 55%.
You're done?
I'm done.
That's
Thank you.
short. Does the applicant have any questions for staff? All right. Does the board have any questions for staff? Commissioner Shara.
If this application would be approved under the PUD, I understand that as compared to LDR is limited to 2 units per acre.
2 units an acre by right, yes, sir.
So if this would be approved to go to a PUD, there would be the flexibility from 2.1 units to 6 units an acre.
No, this would be approved at the 125 lots that are shown.
Okay, so it is the 125 lots in total, which doesn't give looking forward, the developer would not have the flexibility after this is approved to come back and replat and look to increase that number of units. This would be specifically approved for 125 units.
Correct. In order to do that, they would have to come through and amend the PUD.
Okay, so they would be forced to come back.
Correct.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Shara. Commissioner Facemeyer.
Melissa, can you, in the southeastern part of this proposal, there's Paper Street in the area of the recreation area.
Correct.
And that Paper Street would potentially at some point go to develop property to the east.
It could, yes.
And the documentation that we see here, it shows many, many lots back there. Are any of those developed at this point?
Not at this point, no.
None, right?
None.
So if we were to approve this, some developer, some individuals could potentially buy some or all those lots and build homes on them without a PUD.
Correct.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure I saw it the same way you did.
You do.
Thank you, Commissioner Shara. Commissioner Bramlett.
I'm curious, so back here, green, silky, those lots all to the east of the subject property that are on the plat.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what the size of those lots on that just future plat, what those are drawn at?
I believe those are all drawn at roughly 80 by 140.
So they're the properties to the east, that is that big, huge blank parcel now, those are all drawn at larger or smaller parcels than what the current land development code with the LDR designation would allow.
Yes, they're approximately 3 units an acre. By right, LDR is 2 units an acre.
Correct, okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Bramlett. Any other questions for staff? All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, at this time, the public portion of the meeting will now be open. If there's anyone present who would like to speak on this application, please come forward to the podium. As a reminder, individuals have 3 minutes and organizations have 5 minutes. When speaking on this application, please address this board. If you have any documentation that you would like to be entered into the record, please provide a copy to the recording secretary. And good morning, sir.
Good morning. My name is Chuck Shinsky. My wife and I own the 4 acres that is immediately adjacent to the south end of this property. And I thought this was before you one time before, and you all shot this down unanimously. But since we knocked off 11 houses, now this is going to make it okay. But let me remind you, this is still a low-lying piece of property between Donahue and Potomac. Everybody drains to it. They even manipulated the picture showing you how nice it was off of Rock Crusher heading north. But they've already gone past the property to take those northern pictures. Excuse me, I have to do my notes because I swear a lot. I've been a heavy equipment mechanic for 54 years, and I can swear in 3 different languages. Anyway, you want to put 125 houses on this property, plus access roads, plus sidewalks, plus curbs, plus utilities, plus power, plus water, plus drainage, and you still want 125 septic tanks on 34 acres? You gotta be kidding me. You don't even know out front there's a water line, main water line. You don't even know if that water line will handle 134 houses on a single tap. I know, I just retired from the city of Inverness. I worked in Public Works Department. You want to guess what we used to do? I know these things. I know even which way the flow is, and we're downhill. I have a personal question. They talk about putting in septic tanks, and then they want to switch over to sewage line. The sewage line is 3.5 miles north. It's behind Circle K on 44. That's uphill for the first block and a half because this property sits in a low-lying area. But they don't want to talk about that. But my personal questions are, what's the square footage of these homes? What's the lot size? What's the average selling price? Is this going to be another low-rent deal like Huron Woods over on Turner Camp Road? All they say when you corner them for an answer, and I quote, "We'll address those problems at a later date." Now. Now is when you address those property questions. It's still a low piece of property. I challenge anybody to tell me it's not in a flood zone area because everybody around it drains to it. And I welcome any of you to come out to my property, 2027 South Rock Crusher Road. Stand at my mailbox and look north. You'll see how the road goes down. Not manipulating the pictures like they did. And then come on up in my backyard and I'll show you. Everybody drains to the northeast corner, right into their property. But that's okay. Meh, whatever.
Well, thank you. Your time's up, sir. The beeper didn't go off, but the light shine red, so. Thank you. You got it.
And I didn't swear once.
Good job. Next speaker, please.
Good morning. My name is Bob Craik. I'm at 5630 West Keating Court. This proposed project is literally right in my backyard. This is the first time I've got to see the revised rendition. And I guess it looks better, but you know, to be honest, what I'd like to see is the density stay as it is now. Don't give them any more on the density, and only use property that you can build on. There's a lot in this proposal that's you're not going to build houses there. You've got 34 acres. If the density is 3 per acre, that's 90 homes. But then you got to take out the retention ponds, the roads, the setbacks, the other things. I don't see how you're going to get that many homes in with the density that's already in place. That's up to you to decide. I can tell you that the surveyors were out last month, and they were measuring out the 25 feet. And sounds good. You know, they say, we're going to give you 25 feet of green belt. You know, that's from me to you. So put in a nice home there, and before you know it, there's kids in the pool. Can't help that. That's progress. And I believe in property rights, and I believe this builder has rights to build. And we probably need homes, and we probably need revenue. But let's keep the density as it was. It wasn't done accidentally. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next speaker, please.
Good morning. Hi, I'm Wendell Lee. Lived in this county for over 64 years, and I've watched Highway 19 go from 2 lanes to 6 lanes. This proposed development is going to bring a lot of extra traffic. As you all know, there's a lot of traffic out there right now, and it's going to bring extra traffic, and I want to know what they're going to be doing to increase. I know they're going to be putting turn lanes into the residential, but when you come out from the Rock Crusher Road onto Homosassa Trail, there's just 2 lanes. There's no turn lane there. It's either you turn left or turn right. A lot of people sitting there. And recently, out on 44 and Homosassa Trail, the traffic's been backing up down the road almost to 491 because you can only turn left and there's not enough space for that traffic. Now, this traffic is going to increase on our property, and that's the first thing was the traffic problems. The other thing was when we got this paper in the mail, you have us, I live across the road on South Casey Point, and it has a mark out of dark diagonal markings on it. Is this also included in their plan? I know it's you're trying to take it from LDRMH to LDR in that section right there, but is there any of this plan coming over to the other side of the road, across 19? I mean, across South Rock Crusher Road. According to the density, that's quite a few homes, and it's quite more traffic onto Rock Crusher Road, and Rock Crusher Road needs to get some repairs done to it too, especially around the school zone. We're getting a lot more semi-tractor trailers down this road as a cut-through. Also on Homosassa Trail, it's also gained a lot more traffic, seeing that, you know, there's just so much traffic, but bringing all these homes in there is just going to increase the traffic flow. And that's about it. Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. Next speaker.
Good morning. You've seen me before, Paul Darty, 3481 West King B Street. I was at the last meeting where this was presented. A few wrinkles have changed here, a few things have gone up or down, but this is essentially the same kind of thing it was before. In my opinion, a little overbuilt for the size of the property. There was a slide on the presentation from the staff about Keating Street. Could I see that slide again? It had a house pictured on it.
Do I have permission, Commissioner?
This is the time for you to, Paul, to talk to us, not ask questions or display anything, so.
So I have to go with what's up here. Well, that house on Keating Street that was shown to us, it appeared in the brief 2 or 3 seconds that it was up, that it was built rather high above the street. And had I used my previous septic knowledge, I'd have said that that house probably had a elevated or mounded system and was built around it. If that's north of this requested area here, I've got a funny feeling the water tables are fairly high in that area. True that you're trying to take the septics out and pump the sewage elsewhere, but you are going to have a lot of irrigation, a lot of other things going on here, along with the usual climactic rains and so forth. The folks who are saying that this area is a little bit low and things drain to it are very, very probably correct. To put the densities on this, and especially the ISR, upwards instead of maintaining 0.35 is kind of a little bit of a stretch. A similar situation has occurred with the preserve, which has been passed, I think, 5 times now in various PUD forms. And they went from 0.5 to 0.65, and then some people were requesting 0.7, and various boards have seemed to grant these with great alacrity. I think the county is setting itself up for higher water situations than they're used to in these areas, and they need to rethink this. These densities that you're putting in some of these LDRs, and mainly the LDRs that are being changed to MDRs and so forth, are not going to help this problem. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Next speaker.
My name is Vivian Quarles. I live at 5582 West Keating Court, and I spoke at the last one. I don't see a lot of change. The same things are going to occur. traffic is going to be horrendous on Rock Crusher Road. It already is a bypass road. We have a school there within a half a mile of the projected subdivision, excuse me. Also, it's very close to the traffic light. There's also another subdivision going in just past the school across from Rock Crusher Canyon that's going to add more traffic to our road, more needs for fixing the roads and everything. But I have a couple of questions that I guess I'm not allowed to ask the builders, but I'm wondering where are they going to get their drinking water? And I've seen a couple of other subdivisions where eventually people that are on septics have to be forced into a sewer system, and I want to know if that's a potential here. And also, on the property, we've already been noticing all the gopher tortoises that are there, and I know a lot of people don't think that's an important issue, but it is. They're already threatened, and there's let's just say there's over 13 nests on that property that are active. So we've been trying to ping them to FWC, and that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Next speaker, please. Anyone? Next speaker. All right. The applicant, you can rebuttal the public input.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The first speaker spoke about drainage, and again, relative to stormwater, we are required by the Water Management District, and I'm assuming the county as well, to accommodate any stormwater or drainage that's coming onto the property. So we will have to capture that and retain that. That is a requirement of the permit, and we will be doing that. That speaker also spoke about septic. We're not proposing to connect to use septic. We're proposing to connect to central sewer and making a significant investment to bring sewer to the site and make it available to other vacant properties that are in the area. That speaker also asked for information on the square footage of the homes and the selling price of the homes. If Mr. Chairman, if it's okay, I'd like Mr. Lawrence to answer that particular question. Mr. Lawrence with Garden Street Communities is the developer. May he answer that question?
Yes.
Thank you.
My name is Mike Lawrence. I am the Regional Director of Garden Street Communities, and representing them today. You've asked about mobile homes and stuff. We're removing that designation, so there won't be any of that sort of low-income homes. As a matter of fact, the homes that we plan to build start at $325,000. And they go up to as much as $375,000, $400,000 in some cases. We're going to build everything to the present standards, to the current standards. The roads will be that. The utilities will be that. The differences are sidewalks that many people have asked about sidewalks. There will be sidewalk in front of each house. There will be a sidewalk that runs the length of Rock Crusher Road out by the road, as is the code, you know. This will be done. There's nothing for it to connect to on the north or the south, but that sidewalk will be put in anyway because of future. Questions have been asked about the paper road that we're putting in the south end of the southeast corner. We're doing that because it's very likely that at some date in the future, God knows when, you'll be asked to approve that platted piece of property behind theirs. If it is, good for them. However, there's no way for them, if we build out the rest of those lots in the southeast corner, there's no way for the utilities to get across to that subdivision. We're going to great expense to bring utilities to this property. And to have the next person have to go all the way around would be a ghastly, really expense for them as well. So if we provide, all we do is provide them an easement, and they can attach onto the utilities that we're bringing to the site and that for their use. If it ever happens, it happens. If it doesn't happen, it'll be an easement that sits there unused. But at least we'll be thinking about the future to the county's benefit, not to mine. Gopher tortoises, I appreciate that lady's comment, but the gopher tortoises will be dealt with in accord with all of the rules of the capture and the replacement and all the things that we have to do on a normal day. We do it every project. But water is already at the site. We're not going to use any septic tanks, hopefully, never. If we bring the utility, if we're allowed to do this, if we bring the utilities down, we're going to be spending a lot of money to bring those utilities to this property. And we do that happily. Electricity will be underground. If we were forced to develop this property at the lower density that has been discussed, 2 units per acre, county staff would be face the idea of getting all of these septic tanks added to the property. Septic tanks are not being promoted by the state right now. I'm sure you know that. So we're actually alleviating that problem by bringing the utilities to the property. But if you have any other questions, I'm happy to take them. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to wrap up by responding to the rest of the speakers, make sure that I've addressed all the questions that they might have had. The next speaker did talk about maintaining a density of 2 units per acre. Mr. Lawrence did address that, but again, the property is in your primary service area, so I think there is an expectation that public utilities, water and sewer, be provided. If we were to develop at 2 units per acre, we would not be providing public sanitary sewer. We would just be connecting to water and providing septic tanks, individual septic tanks. And again, that's not really the desired result of your primary service area. You have that for a reason, because the expectation of the county is to serve those areas with public water and sewer and to develop a customer base and provide an efficient way of disposing of sanitary sewer. That second speaker also spoke about the 25-foot buffer. And I understand his comment. I will tell you that the code only requires a sodded strip. So we are far exceeding the sodded strip. We're proposing a 25-foot buffer. It'll be fenced and landscaped, enhanced as necessary to meet those requirements to maintain visibility from the adjoining properties. The next speaker spoke about traffic, and in particular, the intersection of Rock Crusher and Homosassa Trail. We will be required by the county staff to model that intersection and determine if any improvements are required of that intersection due to this specific development. So we will have to go through that process of determining if improvements are required, and if they are, it'll be the developer's responsibility to make them. The other question that speaker had was relative to this public notice. I did not see the map that was sent out with the public notice, but we are not developing on the other side of Rock Crusher. We're only developing what that speaker sees on the overhead projector. The next speaker spoke about, again, density and the ISR requirement. We've already spoken about density and why we would like to increase the density, because we do believe it's important to provide central water and sewer. And also, we believe that we are consistent with the surrounding densities, with the exception of some of the very larger acreage tracts. They are around 3 to 3.25 units per acre. We're slightly above that, so we think that's consistent. And we also don't believe that that is a high density. That is still a relatively low density. The next speaker also spoke about traffic, and what the response that I wanted to give you about that is the speaker identified some other projects that are currently being developed along either Homosassa Trail or Rock Crusher. When we do a methodology statement for traffic, we'll have to include projected traffic from those vested developments as well as part of the traffic study. So that information will be accommodated and reviewed by your staff. The last speaker asked about drinking water. As Mr. Lawrence stated, and we've stated previously, we're connecting to county water. And that speaker also wanted to know if once utilities, specifically sanitary sewer, is brought to the site, if other homes in the neighborhood would have to connect. That will not be our responsibility. That's clearly a county responsibility, and that'll be up to the county to determine at what point in time they do require that, if they require it at all. But it's not a requirement of the developer. And finally, Mr. Lawrence addressed this as well. That speaker asked about gopher tortoise. We know that we have to do a site survey. Coastal Engineering has certified individuals on staff that do that work and actually obtain the permits from the state and relocate those gopher tortoises in accordance with state regulations. So we know we have to go through that process. And we have to identify if there's any other endangered or threatened species on the property, and if there are, we will have to accommodate those or permit those as well. So I think that was all the questions from the public. Available to answer any additional questions. Otherwise, I'll turn it back to you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. All right, this time I'm going to close the public portion of the hearing down and bring the discussion back to the board. Who would like to begin? Commissioner.
I've heard a lot of discussion about concerns on ISR. Have you done a calculation, if you take the entire property, including the lots, the roads, sidewalks, open space, green space, buffer space, with a full build-out, do you have any calculation on what the total ISR is for everything inside that development?
Mr. Chairman, may I respond to the question? Or is
No, this is a discussion for us, sir. Thank you.
Oh, I apologize.
Yeah.
So that was something that I was curious about.
I'll loan you a calculator.
I got one. I just figured out how to use it.
Commissioner Bramlett.
I mean, I feel like we get hamstrung by the economy when the developers, and I hate the way that people say, you know, these developers and these money hungry mongers, and I understand all of that. Everybody has to bend and succumb to the forces of economics. I can tell you, I'm very familiar with this particular area of the county. I have family that live over there. I've lived in this particular area. In my opinion, those 80 by 125 lots up on Justin, Keating, Irving, those roads, those lots are too small. It just feels too tight in there. The neighborhood across the street, Heritage, those are all 1 acre home sites. Then you have Hills of Avalon. Well, that's the Hills of Avalon to the north. Then Hills of Avalon to the, I guess, would be the east. Those are all half-acre sites. Green, Silky. The other names are escaping me right now. So we've got this parcel of 36 acres right in the middle of all of these differing lot sizes that we're being told, well, if you guys only let us do 2 per acre, which is what it's, permitted by right for, then we're gonna have septic tanks. Or, we're gonna have water there. But if you allow us to bring in more of a density, then we'll bring in sewer. So we're being pinched by the economics because we understand, especially you, Mr. Chair, and being in construction and developing it, you have to make a viable project or it doesn't happen. So do we just continue to say, well, we don't really care if you're gonna make your project viable or not? The property's zoned LDR. If you can make 2 per 1 acre work, then okay, great, make it work. But we have all of these external forces that are forcing us to allow denser projects than maybe some of us would feel comfortable with. Personally, I wish it would stay 2 per acre. I think that area is an overbuilt area. I think there's a lot of highly congested areas over there. I don't like the feel of the neighborhoods to the north. The neighborhood, the Hills of Avalon to the east, half acre, much nicer, much more spread out. But do the numbers work? Probably not. So what I'm willing to do, in my opinion, is I would say I would be willing to split the difference. So we've got the adjacent properties that the county is saying is 3 per acre. That's basically the 80 by 125 plus your green areas plus your sidewalks. So in my opinion, this project is still too dense, in my personal opinion. We don't have to approve anything. I mean, I've talked to people that watch these meetings and see what's happening. I mean, we don't have to approve this anything more than LDR. It could stay LDR and the property sits vacant, and maybe one day the costs to build go down and somebody decides that they think it's an opportunity, or maybe somebody comes in there and wants to put in half-acre mobile homes. We would have, 70 mobile homes or 60-ish roughly with your right-of-ways and recreation area. So I don't want to feel like we have to be pinched to, well, if you don't let us do this, then we can't do that, or the economics only allow us to do this. Sometimes it's all about the compatibility, and for me, that's what's the most important. I appreciate the fact that they're coming up with the extra green space, the additional buffers all the way around the outside, but that's just more for the adjacent parcels. That doesn't really do anything about the density, the amount of traffic, the amount of kids, the amount of land, and all of the things that go along with that. So that's just my long-winded opinion.
Thank you, Commissioner Bramlett. Commissioner Stone?
Mr. Chairman, the land development code was developed to try to establish a certain, I guess, lifestyle, or at least to try to guarantee us, or at least to facilitate as much as possible, a pleasant place to live. Okay, and I think this board has a responsibility, whether or not the economics of preserving the ability of developers to make money off of our environment here is secondary to our responsibility to the rest of our citizens in this county. So that being said, I see there's no requirement for us to increase, to approve an increased density or ISR over what we've already got established in our land development code. So I will not be in support of this.
Thank you, Commissioner Stone. Commissioner Facemeyer.
I concur with my colleagues.
Commissioner Shara.
Mr. Chair, we turned this application down in a previous form in early January. I looked at it with interest when it came back in this shorter period of time. The things that we were concerned about before, some of them have been addressed. Some of them had remained silent in the first time around. Here's what I struggle with. What I struggle with is I look at the other applications that have either been approved or pending along Rock Crusher Road, particularly going to the north. And I look at some of those, I look at the ISRs and the densities that have been approved, and that's not a hard number. Those numbers are a reference point because not one of them that I looked at over the last 12 months, 14 months, have hit the nail on the head. What I struggle with this is that this particular area, at 125 units, the first question I always say to myself is, would I live there? Would the people living around it want to live there? Is this going to be a quality facility? Is it compatible with the neighbors? And the answer, I got to be honest, is I'd live there. Yeah, I think that this looks like a good slot. I am going to support this. I'm going to support it because the improvements to Rock Crusher Road are coming. The traffic to Rock Crusher Road is coming because the other developments I've referenced in general. But you can go down and you can see what's happening as you head east. There have to be improvements at Homosassa Trail and Rock Crusher Road. This is another straw, but it's, it'll be meaningful at 125 units. So, as I said, I will support this. I fully recognize that it's a change to the low density residential by about 1.3 units per acre. But as I look around the surrounding areas, regardless if it says LDR, is it compatible? I look to the east. We've talked about those units to the east. I look to the north, and they're very, very similar. The folks directly to the south, yeah, a little bit more dense. The developers proposed putting the larger lots there plus the buffer. So I will support this.
Thank you, Commissioner Shara. Anyone else? Commissioner Collins.
Yeah, I've looked at this very closely also. I wasn't here for the last meeting. I mean, everything else around it is either valid unrecorded sub or platted out, even to the east, even though it's wooded. I think the developer has made an effort to transition the size of the lots to try to be compatible with the rest surrounding uses. They've got the buffers. The only question that I have is with the smaller lots to the interior. I know staff wants to maintain the existing ISR, and I don't think that it'll work with those smaller lots. I think they're going to need the 55%. So I believe that condition would have to be adjusted to allow for that for the smaller lots. This is in the planned service area. They are willing to extend the services. Their SWIFMET permit will take care of their drainage and the surrounding areas as it may already contribute to the site. This is where we intended growth to be. Rock Crusher is a collector road. At this point, I would support this.
Thank you, Commissioner Collins. Commissioner Bozeman.
Let me start off by saying I'm not a big fan of being leveraged because you're going to bring utilities to the site versus septic. But that's business. I understand it. I do have concerns about the increase in density, although it's not terribly different from the surrounding areas. And again, we have no idea what's going to transpire to the east of here. But I do appreciate quality development. I work for a company, we do an awful lot of work in the development business, not in this county, but in Northeast Florida and central Northeast Florida. I see these all the time. So it is a quality product, I think, that these folks are trying to put out. So with that said, I think I will support this.
All right. Thank you. Well, I'm gonna start off saying is I do feel for the developer and the contractor in this as being one myself. Oftentimes in this situation, we're asked as a developer or as a builder, we need to get a couple more sardines in that can to make it work. Sometimes it works and sometimes it don't. Unfortunately, my opinion is it's not gonna work. I think the density is too high. I think the low-lying area is too intense. I think I understand rock crusher. I don't even know if rock crusher is even on the plans to have any construction or widening in the future, as opposed to any other road in the county. We don't really know that. So I wouldn't make a judgment on that, of the road being widened. I don't support it. I didn't support it the last time. I think the 3 per acre would probably be the max that I would even consider as far as the density. And changing the ISR, it doesn't hurt anybody but the neighbors. And I don't want to hurt the neighbors. So for the purpose of a motion, the Planning and Development Commission finds application number AA/PUD-2025-0001 inconsistent with the Citrus County Comprehensive Plan and Citrus County Land Development Code, and that this board recommends denial of the application to the Board of County Commissioners based upon the evidence and the testimony presented and the staff report and the conclusions regarding this petition.
Second.
We have a first by the chairman, second by Commissioner Bramlett. Any further discussions?
I have one. What if it were .35 ISR? Would that require a PD? If they didn't exceed the .35 ISR, would it still require a PD?
Yes. Yeah. Yes, because they're increasing the density.
Okay. Because it seems to me it makes more sense to have a better development, even if it's, I'm not trying to get it approved or anything, but it seems like if it's .35, it would be better to have it on central sewer and have the amenities that come along with it than just having a by right subdivision that has mobile homes. That's just for thought.
All right, any other discussions? All in favor for denial, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
We'll get a roll call, please.
All right, Mr. Bozeman,
Nay.
Mr. Bramblett,
Aye.
Mr. Barmez,
Aye.
Mr. Shera,
Nay.
Ms. Collins,
Nay.
Mr. Facemeyer,
Aye.
and Mr. Stone.
Aye.
We have 4-3 pass.
The motion's been denied by this board 4-3.
Mr. Chair, I'm sorry, the application's been denied, the motion passed.
Yes. Thank you, Madam Attorney. That's why you're so good over there. And we don't know when it's going to be going in front of the county commission.
Actually, we do. So this one is currently scheduled for BCC for April 22nd at 5:10 p.m. And I don't know if we said for the last one, the BFP storage, that one was also scheduled for BOCC on the same day, April 22nd at 5:05.
Thank you. I appreciate that. All right, do we have any other staff announcements?
No, sir.
Well, yeah, she did say that earlier. It's been a long day. All right, any other comments by the commissioners? Seeing none,
Move we adjourn.
motion to adjourn.
Second.